Hey guys, my name is Tracy Welch. I'll be hosting tonight, and welcome to this episode of the LGBTQ Voice. So the last few weeks we were doing transgender, and actually last month or so we had a couple guests and we talked about the transgender law. I'm so happy to let you guys know that the law passed, and it passed 67.7%. However, 800,000 plus people voted no. So we're hoping that the law, obviously it's here to stay, but there won't be any issues for our trans family individuals, and if they are, contact us. We'd be more than glad to get you guys the right information to keep you protected and help you each day. So with the election that just happened as well in New Bedford, because I only have New Bedford statistics, that 25% of the people voted for the 2016 election, and this election 40% of the people voted. So I was quite pleased to hear that more people came out to vote, and hopefully not that percentage that went up were the ones that said no, because I don't have that statistic town by town by town, and I'm just looking for our page. Here we go, guys. I'm getting there, because once I climb up on this, we'll be good to go. So if you guys have any comments, hey. I didn't turn it down. I thought I did, guys. So again, if you guys have any questions or comments as we're talking about tonight's show, you can post them in and I will get back to you. So hi, Alex. I hope you enjoyed your birthday. So tonight we're actually veering off from the Yes on 3 and our transgender family will always be in our hearts. But we're going to talk about the We Won't Go Back rally that happened this Thursday all across the country. We actually had a rally in New Bedford, as well as there was one in Fall River. So over 200 people were at this rally in New Bedford, and 25 were in Fall River. So we have special guests, Marlene Pollock from Bristol Community College, New Bedford campus, history teacher, former member of the school committee, active in social justice, and the founding member of the Coalition for Social Justice.
Great to be here.
Oh, I appreciate it. And Joe Quigley. Joe I've known through our LGBT community, local gay bar LaPlace, so shout out to LaPlace. Joe is a community activist. He actually helped in Oklahoma City. He puts it as GLBT, and bullying policies to add sexual orientation and gender identity into policies, including parent and child handbooks for the school systems. And actually, you might see Joe in last weekend's edition of the Providence Journal or some of the papers. You were at the rally in Rhode Island.
Oh, the Yes on 3, or the transgender?
Transgender rally, yep. So, and he is I'll call it cartoonist, yeah. Caricatures. And you'll see some of his pictures. He's actually standing with a Trump one and a Lady Liberty one.
Yeah, that was at the one Tuesday.
Yep,
yeah.
The one Tuesday.
Thursday.
So you may see Joe's artwork out and about, and he actually does a lot with the art community and actually other things as well. So we're going to talk to these guys. They were at the rally and what's going on with Coalition for Social Justice. So welcome to the LGBTQ Voice.
Thank you. Thanks.
So can you tell us about Thursday's rally? Nobody is above the law.
Well, it was back when it started becoming obvious that Mr. Trump was not going to be happy with Mr. Mueller. Yep. And he was also not happy with Mr. Sessions. It was becoming obvious that somewhere along the line he was going to make take an action that would eliminate Mueller either directly or indirectly. And there was a national clearinghouse where you signed up to be notified if anything was done to Sessions or anything done to Mueller that would affect the investigation. There would be instant gatherings, and if it happened before a certain time of the day, it would be immediate. If it was later on in the day, it would be at 5 o'clock nationally, yep. Whenever 5 o'clock occurred. And that happened when he claims that Sessions resigned, who very cleverly put down, in obeying your command to resign, I'm resigning. And then we got the call, and people showed up at 5 o'clock outside the federal building. You
know, within 24 hours, that was done.
Yeah.
You know, within 24 hours, hey, let's get together. You know, I think it's amazing. That's what happened when marriage equality passed here, you know, yeah. In 2004. A bunch of people said, hey, let's get together and have a party. You know, so things can happen immediately. As much as we want things to happen now, you know, so to see these rallies and to, continue to help the community in different groups. That's one of the reasons that I love having this platform that we have. Even though we're called the LGBTQ Voice, not everything we do is gay related. This has nothing, well, it doesn't have not a lot to do with the LGBTQ, but in retrospect, it will at some point in our lives. I just have let's see. Pete Wild says, my wife and I enjoy your segments. Marlene, thank you for your dedicated service to New Bedford. Hi, Stephen, you guys know I butcher these names. I'm just going to say, Stephen, anyone interested in cash? No, that's a karaoke contest. Stephen, thank you so much for that. People will see it on the page. If you want to post an ad, you can please do so on the LGBTQ Voice page. We appreciate that. So yeah, I apologize. So Thursday's rally. And 200 people showed up, and I want to give a shout out to Lisa. So Lisa Lemieux, I saw a video of her saying we won't go back. We won't go back on marriage equality. We won't go back, and I apologize, I only got the marriage equality part, because that's kind of, impacting for us. Sure. But Lisa does a lot in the community, and her daughter, Alicia Patrick, was actually one of our youth peer leaders for MB Agley. So she has a gay child, so I mean, you don't have to be, you can be an ally, you can be straight, you can be gay, you can be whatever you want, and any organization will take your volunteerism. We talk about volunteerism on our show so many times, but shout out to Lisa and shout out to Alicia Patrick, because without Alicia we wouldn't have had a health fair this year. She had an internship that she had at a college and said, Tracy, hey, how can I help you guys? What's going on? And she's the one who got the ball rolling with that. So shout out to Lisa for, I just want to give her that little bit of shout out because I can't, it's our show. So psych. So what were the people saying? Like, what was going on at the rally? Like, what was the vibe? How's that?
Well, it was positive,
yep.
Right? There were people from all different walks of life, and there were some representatives of synagogues, churches, political groups. There was a Native American, I forget what tribe he was from, but he spoke. And it was just basically, chanting things like...
hands off Mueller.
Hands off Mueller.
No one's above the law.
Yeah, stuff like that. And holding signs.
Well, when I did the research for the We Won't Go Back rally, and they're actually on Facebook, guys. That's how I ended up finding out a little more about it. And I actually just like a lot of pages to find out what's going on, different events in the community. I just click on it and go, let's check that out. The We Won't Go Back New Bedford, it's men, women, students, LGBTQ, parents, immigrants, retirees, teachers, professionals who wish to protect our community environment from the negative impacts of the Trump administration. And that's what that is for. But there's different groups and organizations. If you're for Trump, come on my show, or our show, it's not my show. Come on our show and talk about why you think Trump is what it is. Hit me up and I'll be more than glad to have you on. But we have to have, a nice discussion about it. It's I agree and you disagree, or I disagree and you agree kind of show out there, same as our comments. So let's see. How did the name We Won't Go Back originate? Like, where did that come from? I know, Joe, you were on the original meeting.
Yeah, when Donald Trump first got in, he started right away removing things that people had fought years to get. He took GLBT, and I say GLBT, I'm an old guy.
Old school.
Yeah. Old habits die hard. Yep. But he started removing references to GLBT immediately from government web pages. He threatened to take us off census, which we need for health and housing and things like that. He goes and he appoints Severino. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's what's that? A Heritage Foundation guy that's very anti-gay, and puts him in charge of the Department of Education's Equal Rights Department. So that's not good. So we just figured we're going to start losing a lot of the stuff that took years to get, because he doesn't care. And so we figured if we got all the groups in town that had their own agendas and got them together as one united group, then we could all help each other, because we all have talents that can be spread around without interfering with the purpose of
each group's agenda.
Yeah.
Well, that's how our network formed, Joe.
Yeah, basically that,
I mean, same thing. We just got different groups, organizations that were getting funding from the Lipsky Whitaker Foundation, and just kind of formed a group together and said, how can we help each other out? So it's amazing. Yeah,
and then it became, I guess now it's more of a internet clearinghouse. I was, like I explained to, what's her face here, Marlene.
You know that girl over here to my right?
I know her well, yeah, good old, what's her name?
You guys don't know, you haven't watched the show before, but I always go, Kevin, what's up? Or, I always go to, they don't see Kevin, but at least they don't, if it's my imaginary friend.
Well, she works with Coalition for Social Justice, and they could send things out to their members, but it would be nice if more people could get the same information. So like with the rally, if it was just run by one organization, then only the members of that organization would be able to be there. So we won't go back as basically clearinghouse. You got something that you need to get a lot of people to go to. You put it on their Facebook page, and then a lot more people than just your own organization see it.
Well, that's terrific. Just for contact information, while we're here, there's an office in Boston, and there's an office in Brockton, one in Fall River, and one here in New Bedford. So I want to make sure that you guys know there's Coalition for Social Justice. They have a Facebook page and a Twitter page. Twitter is at people for CSJ. And you guys can just go online and put in Coalition for Social Justice. If you guys want more information on that, you can hit me up, because I believe Josh put up on the header my email address. So it's Traci with an I, TRACI at SCLGBTQnetwork.org. So I want to make sure that we give a shout out to the 4 towns in Massachusetts. Again, we are the South Coast LGBTQ Network, so we try and reach out to as much as we can, and hopefully other people are watching. A couple weeks ago, we had somebody tune in from Puerto Rico.
Oh, wow.
So you just never know where people are watching from. Yeah, so it's definitely fun and amazing. Were there protesters at the rally?
No.
No.
Very peaceful.
We had one guy drive by and yell, but there's always got to be somebody, and they're
Yeah.
going 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, he could have said, "Where's the bar?"
yeah,
You never know.
you know, yeah, this could have been anything. But
What about police presence? How was that?
they were there, and their only thing was to make sure that we didn't get hit by a car, and nothing would go. They weren't really watching us; they were just watching out for us, which I found in New Bedford seems to be the thing. Right? They're good. So a shout out to the police.
I know. I mean, we had the chief of police on our show. We did a show on domestic violence and whatnot, and he was on our show. So, and I know he was on the Bedford Guide today. So it's probably a good segment to go over to let you guys know what's going on in Fall River and New Bedford right now. So I know Mike from the Bedford Guide interviewed the police chief today. So I want to kind of give a shout out. So Fall River and New Bedford are doing a Guns for Groceries. So the event is planned. The Guns for Groceries will take place on Saturday, November 17th from 9 to 2 at 2 locations, guys. Blessed Trinity Church at 1340 Plymouth Ave in Fall River. And Pilgrim United Church of Christ, 634 Purchase Street, New Bedford. The program will offer Market Basket gift cards and Domino's pizza coupons for guns, no questions asked. Anyone returning a shotgun or a long gun will receive a $50 card to Market Basket. Handguns returned will earn a $75 gift card. Domino's pizza coupons will also be distributed. So guys, it's a no questions asked. Just drop the guns off, get them off the street. Accidents happen, bad happens. Get them off the street. So I kind of want to give a shout out to the communities. And they've been doing this for years. So I want to kind of say that since they've been doing this, the program was inspired by the October 17th Reverend Dr. Robert Lawrence lecture at UMass Dartmouth, which featured 2 survivors of the Parkland, Florida school shooting. The late Reverend Lawrence had orchestrated numerous gun give-back programs in southeastern Massachusetts, removing more than 3,100 guns off the street. So I definitely wanted to give a shout out when we're talking about the police and the whatnots today, because I kind of thought we were going to go in that route, so I want to make sure that we have the research on that. But when we have our Pride events, we invite the police to come, and, well, actually, we pay them. It's not like we invite them, we pay them. But they do a great job. And then after the Pulse attack down south in Florida, that next Pride year we had in June, every time I went outside on our deckyard and checked things out, there was a cruiser parked on the corner by our local gay bar. I mean, we talk about, how much support we have in the community, and the police chief is city of one, and I actually feel that here. Yeah. So a shout out to him. So I know I got on a tangent, because I guess I can.
You're the boss.
Plus, look at what happened at Puzzles. I mean, you have reason to be.
Most definitely.
on guard, shall
Yeah.
we say.
I know Marlene just referenced the puzzle attack. So in 2006, a young man went into a local gay bar and had a fake ID, asked if it was a local gay bar, went in and ordered a drink, and then tried to hatchet and shoot the patrons in the bar. He was on America's Most Wanted, and again in 2006, think about that, gay rights down south weren't happening very well as they were up here. But yet they found him down south, and unfortunately he killed a police officer in the fight and struggle. Nobody up here nobody died up here, but the wounds have been around for a lot of years, and a business went under, and it was just not the time for our community. So what are you guys working on right now? What's going on?
You can take this one.
Yes. Go ahead, Marlene.
Well, so as the coalition, we just finished up the ballot questions.
Yeah.
We had a great victory on question 3. We worked hard on question 1. Unfortunately, that got
It wasn't
destroyed by big
be.
money,
Yeah.
you know. But you know, the new session for we do a lot of legislative work, so the new session's coming up, and we haven't set our agenda yet, but we'll do the process of that. But also, Joe and I are part of Bristol County for Correctional Justice, and this is a group that started over a year and a half ago, kind of ignited by Sheriff Hodgson's declaration to try to send people in his custody to build the wall in Texas and to sign up with ICE. And that kind of lit a fire under everybody. And I mean, it's not like people weren't upset with him for the last 20 years. I know our organization was upset with him because of his charging people in his custody $5 a day to be in jail.
Yep.
Also the fact that the chain gangs that he had. So this was just another kind of outrage that galvanized. And I think because of Trump and all the similarities between him and Trump, people were really mobilized. The Coalition for Social Justice called a rally in January of 2017, right after he got inaugurated, and it was short notice, and 200 people showed up right across from the Ash Street Jail, and from there we just started working on and we have a fantastic group, we really do. I mean, Joe's a very talented artist.
Wicked.
And
actually, it was Joe's idea about the whale that our kids took off of that in our youth group. I asked Joe, and Joe actually started a logo for our kids group. And the kids said, I like the whale idea, but we want to go this route. So our logo idea was from his start of his...
A little ageism.
Yeah. So shout out to Joe.
Anyway, and he's got a really great manner about him, and so, but we have a really solid group. It's kind of an oppressive group. It's an ad hoc committee, and...
Can you explain what the ad hoc committee is?
So it's just pulled together. I mean, there's no bank account. There's no formal name. It's just a group of citizens who are committed to really trying to get the powers that be, the elected officials who have the mandate to investigate him. I mean, we find his conditions in the jail deplorable, and we're worried about people in his custody and worried about the fact that we don't know how, well, we know that he's wasting a lot of taxpayers' money, number one, and number two, that he's not working with people so in his custody so then when they come out, then they can be productive members of society. In fact, he's really just setting them up to recidivate.
So I did some research. So July 27th, there was a rally, Fons Corner Road, to show solidarity with inmates at Bristol County Correctional Complex who refused their food at various times over a 2-week protest. They were protesting the living conditions.
Horrible heat in the middle of the summer, and then they freeze in the winter, you know. But we had talked to a lot of people who had been involved in the jail, and the food is not only just horrendous, all additives, all prepackaged, but there's not enough of it. And this is something we've known for a long time, that really adults don't get enough caloric intake to keep them nourished, and so there's a lot of malaise that sets in, and depression, and you know, it's a mess. And we don't feel like the jail run by our tax money should be run this way.
Well, when I was doing some research, the sheriff had listed that there's 47 programs that are out there and working right now. But another part of that article had said, no, there's not that. It's a lot of it's on his religious training or views. So what, during your investigation, what do you guys feel like? What's really the active programs going on right now?
Well, what we found, and other people have done articles on the jail.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're just making stuff up
Yeah.
and just because we got, as he would say, a political agenda. We have a concern for the
Yeah.
people. It could be anybody. We could be in there. And the food is bad. The medical is basically ignored, or the minimum. It's worse than having a school nurse.
Yep.
People can identify with the school nurse, so think of that on a prison level.
Yep.
He claims that he's got nutritionists that design their meals, but when you're getting less than the requirement, and I found an article where he boasted that when it came to one particular prisoner, to punish him, he made sure that his meals were bland and unsatisfying. But, you're supposed to feed these people, okay? As far as his programs, like you said, he lists like 42 of them. But other people have pointed out that there are either not enough of them that are actually active, there's not enough room for people to benefit from them. And but the religious thing is every week, and he kind of favors one religion. And he does, he pushes the Bible. No offense to the Bible people, but,
Yep. If you want to comment on his, no, just kidding.
Yeah. There are other religions.
Yeah.
He's of the belief that rehabilitation comes from within, that the world is a crooked road that leads you to the straight path. And he pushes that stuff, but no, they need psychological help. They need medical help. If you're on opioids, it's nice to know there's a God. But at the moment, you'd like to have something that deals with your immediate problem, and it'll take care of God later. So he has to get more of the programs going, and legitimately.
So I'm just going to read about the July rally. 250 people inside the recently went on a hunger strike in solidarity with 60 ICE detainees to protest outrageous conditions that are endemic to the running of this jail. Conditions which have existed since Thomas Hodgson became sheriff. Horrendous and inadequate food, medical and mental health negligence, and the highest suicide rate in the state, and among the highest in the nation, and unbeatable heat. So we talked offline about the suicide rates, and they house 13% of inmates are there, and out of that 13%, 25% have committed suicide.
Of the whole state.
Of the whole state.
In other words,
Yeah.
So he's only got 13% of the people, but he is 25% of all the suicides.
Yeah.
The other thing that Joe mentioned, but the medical neglect is horrendous. I mean, we have talked to people, and you're talking to people from all different venues who don't know each other, but they all say the exact same thing. So people come in, they are denied their medications. We heard from a defense attorney that her clients, and we heard this from other people, diabetics are denied their insulin. They don't get them for 3 or 4 weeks. This guy lost his foot. A woman was pregnant, she was bleeding, no medical help. I mean, and you hear the same story over and over again. They put in slips to get medical attention, ignored for weeks and weeks, toothaches where the people's face blew up. But I mentioned this one woman who was pregnant, she lost her baby.
Well, Joe, I'm sorry, is these people are in there, they haven't been convicted. So
over half of them are still waiting to be adjudicated.
They're still waiting for their trial.
They're just too poor to post bail, is what it is.
So it's not that they're going to be convicted, it's just that that's where they're at.
Yeah.
Circumstances.
And I just want to throw this in. A lot of people say, well, they're in jail, they don't deserve stuff.
Yeah.
But any one of us could end up there,
right?
It could be, for any reason. And if you don't have the bail, you're in there. It's not you're a bad person. It's like circumstances are such that you can't get out.
And so many people are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
So where do you find that $300, $500, $1,000 extra money for that?
But when he tells you constantly he's protecting the community, he gives the impression that they're all horrible people in there.
Yes.
And they're not. They're what, misdemeanors?
I mean, a lot of them have the disease of addiction.
Yeah.
So if we were smart, or he was smart, you'd really have a lot of trained counselors in there. You know, and a lot of people have addiction issues and they have mental health issues. So they have dual diagnosis. And he's got, you know, like you said, the 1,300 people or 1,200 people in the jail, and he's got 3 mental health counselors. Hampden County has similar kind of population. They have 10.
So we're going to talk about that suicide rate just real quick. And again, these are statistics from 2006 to 2016 because sometimes technology doesn't actually catch up with the data that we have. Barnstable County had 2 total suicides. Berkshire County had 0. Bristol had 14. Dukes had 1. Again, that's a 10-year span, guys. Essex had 8. Franklin had 0. Hampton had 8. Hampshire had 0. Middlesex had 3. Nantucket had 0. Norfolk had 1. Plymouth had 7. Suffolk had 10, and Worcester had 8. And again, I know they have 1,277, so I'm kind of looking at Essex had 1,547. I'm assuming
Residents
thank you.
Yeah.
And they had 8. So I was trying to find one around that 1,200 mark, and there really isn't anybody that's, you know, close to that. But it just amazes me, you know, the suicide rate of, you know, I mean, they went a bunch of years with none. They really did. In 2009, they had 3. 2012, there was 1. 2013, there was 2. 2014, there was 1. 2015, there was 3. And 2016, there was 4. And I read the statistics about there's some lawsuits out there right now. A mom's kid committed suicide, and he was on their watch. You know, I mean,
and there was a sheet left in his cell.
Yeah.
Which mysteriously ended up there because they don't have sheets.
Yeah.
And I mean, you talk to people, literally it's like, these are the worst criminals in the world. Yeah. And so they're deprived of clothing, they're deprived of anything, really. They sit in there, he has lockdowns twice a week. So that was what the mom was telling me that her son's in this GED program. Well, when there's the programs happening, which doesn't sound very rigorous to begin with, but class is canceled if there's a lockdown. So, you know, when people are doing their GED, they need to be going every day because they have to take these tests. So,
and I'd like to point out too that it's not like we're just making this stuff up.
Yeah.
Right? We have the documentation that we're allowed to get. We've done freedom of information requests.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get the minimum amount of information, just enough to keep you happy with the freedom of information request, but doesn't keep us happy, so we're still going at it. So we have the documentation, we have the statistics, we have the reports, but when you speak with the gentleman himself, he will just throw things out, and nobody ever asks him that next question, well, where can I look that up? So I know myself personally. I was interviewed one day on the radio, and I gave the documentable information, and then the following week he was on the same radio station being interviewed, and basically said, oh, it's just a political agenda, and oh, they're just making this stuff up. But if they had said to me, well, you know, could you get us that information? Sure, here it is, right? But nobody ever asked him, where did you come up with that? And one time on television, I might be babbling, but one time on television,
babble away, Joe.
He actually told the interviewer on television, after he had talked about how he was protecting New Bedford and Bristol County in general from the threats of immigrants, because we know how they are. And the gentleman interviewing him asked him, well, what are the statistics? What are you basing the fact on that they are a threat to your community? And his response was, it's common sense. Well, if you don't have any common sense, that's not a good thing. If you have facts and statistics, I don't care how bad your common sense is, you can give the facts and statistics.
Yeah, but proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
I mean.
So when he says, well, that's just the way it is, we all know that. No, we don't all know that, because some of us know the statistics, some of us have read the reports, and we've got the heavily sketchy information he sends.
And I don't know if you read that article. So he says, well, I've been given an A+ rating by these accredited organizations. Well, we're researching those, and guess what? They're not backed by any government. They're completely, nonprofit organizations, like we could form one
We
and
could
say,
form it.
yeah.
Like,
and say-
remember, was it Rand Paul, when he couldn't get his ophthalmology license from the American Association of Ophthalmologists or something? So he started his own group, and they certified him? Okay, that's what you have going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's really bad. The two organizations that he lists,
Yeah.
one of our members just dug it up. I mean, they are they're evaluating prisons that have had terrible deaths, terrible, the sheriff stealing money. I mean, horrible stuff, and they've given them A+ ratings. So, it doesn't make any sense, and that's why we want him to be investigated. And we went up to Boston. Well, we started out by writing a letter to the Attorney General.
Yeah. So, please go ahead.
And she, after a few months, sent a letter to the head of the Department of Corrections and the Executive Secretary of Public Safety, and said, you need to investigate this. And she cited the suicides. And we sent them each a letter saying, we're here, we're eager to help, if you want to talk to us. No response. So we waited and we waited, and then we sent a letter to Governor Baker, because that's their boss.
Yep.
And if something was happening, he wanted to happen, he would do it. So he didn't respond to our letter either. We sent it, what was it?
It was in August?
It was,
Because the march was in July, and it said that Maura Healey said that she was going to start that investigation.
that was in June,
Yep.
she said that. So we waited till, I don't know,
Sometime in August, beginning of August.
that we sent the letter,
to
right.
the
Return
governor.
receipt requested, he
Yep.
got it.
Yeah, that way that most definitely
Yeah.
smart.
And then we waited to give the guy, we know he's in an election campaign, he's busy, right? No answer, so we
Yep.
went up there on October 18th.
It would have been nice if he even said, a boilerplate
Yeah,
plate
thank
letter.
you.
We got your letter, thank you, we'll put some attention to it as soon as we can.
Yeah, once the election's over, I'll
Yeah.
get back to you.
We got the little thing back from the post office.
So we met with his aide, his
Yeah.
constituent service guy,
Yeah,
and that was October 18th, not a word since then. I
Yeah.
hope we said, we want to hear something back.
yeah,
But, it's almost like, here's a population that nobody gives a damn about. And Joe had brought up the LGBTQ people inside the jail. What conditions are they under? The people with the dual diagnosis. I mean, it's a mess. One of our members, her brother, tried to commit suicide 3 times. They never notified the family. He kept putting slips in, I feel suicidal. And I guess he did something, because then he woke up and he was still alive. But, serious stuff. It's like, he can get away, he can say, oh, I'm protecting you, like Joe says.
so you're still alive, aren't you?
We haven't even mentioned the phones and the canteen. It
And
just
the
goes
recidivism.
on and on and on.
So just real quick, let me just double check, see who's saying anything. Louise Johnson says, hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, Louise.
And miss you, Tracy Welch. I miss you too, Weezy.
She was saying hi to you, I think.
Well, no, the first one said, hi, guys.
Oh.
And the second one said, miss you, Tracy Welch. So I want to kind of get back to see who had any comments and whatnot. So while I'm just taking a quickie break, Josh, can you put out the contact for the ad? Thank you very much. So if you guys want to post an ad on the LGBTQ Voice, I can share it on our Facebook page. We have sponsorship available. So I know, Stephen, you keep plugging different events that you're doing in the community. We'd rather, we want to pay for an ad, we'll put you on. You'll have a commercial space here. Depending on, our show, once we get more ad money, we'll be boosting it. Last week's show, we had 3,999 people watched our show. It was like our highest without, boosting the show. But you can contact Leo at NewBedfordGuide.com. We have a rainbow sponsor, and it's like $1,000. So New Bedford Guide will go to your business, go to your church, go to your group, or any organization, and it'll actually do the commercial for you. It'll be, be a 30-second to a 1-minute segment, and we show it on 10 different shows. Then the gold sponsor is a $500 one. It's your show takeover. Right now, all the conversations that we have right now are ideas that we've had as a community from our organization. And let's just say that somebody is for Trump. Pay me $500. Sit your butt in my chair. It's your platform. We talk about it. We link it to your website. Our Facebook page will feature your logo. And the event page will have you on it, and show header where it says the LGBTQ Voice, and it'll actually have your business or your organization as our header. We have a silver sponsorship for $350. You sponsor one show, you're like a 7 to 10 minute guest for $350. So we stop a show, you kind of come in, we talk about whatever you want to talk about, and then you go. And again, it's a link to your Facebook, your website, we feature your logo, we mention you on a Facebook event page as well, and again, on the live show header, when you're 7 to 10 minutes, it's your, 7 to 10 minutes of fame. We have a bronze sponsorship too, it's $100, it's your commercial. You give it to us, for $100, we'll show it on one show. And again, it's kind of cool to kind of be able to do this show and the programs that we have. So Marlene, we actually do a youth group on Wednesdays, and it's 8 to 13 groups. I know Joe has been around a little bit. So on Wednesdays, it's called the Rainbow Club. And it's LGBTQ kids that are transitioning or questioning their sexuality, and the parents come. On Thursdays, we have our NB Agley, which is our 14 to 24 group. And on Monday nights, it's Pride Cafe, and it's an 18-plus group. So the 18-plus group does social activities, kind of hangout kind of thing, get people out of the bar scene. And all these programs are at 484 Pleasant Street down in New Bedford, Mass. We also do, I call it Gay AA. They have a Sunday AA group that meets there. I forgot about yoga, right, Kevin? Yoga's on Monday, 5:30 to 6:30. Pride Cafe on Monday from 7 to 9. Tuesday, we're here. Wednesday, is the tutoring started yet? I think so. So anybody that's on our NB Agley 14 to 24 group, Wednesday afternoons we have tutoring for our kids. So you kind of, come from school, go over to center, and Dave is one of our adult advisors, and he's actually a school teacher. So Dave actually will help the kids. We actually have computers there, so.
That's great.
Chrome notebooks. Friday is First Fridays. Our kids get together without adult support. And it's Kevin and Mariah, our peer leaders, so the kids can kind of hang out without the adults, even though Kevin and Mariah are adults. And like I said, we have our Gay AA, which is called the Sober and Out. So we have a lot that goes on in that community center, and we want more programs. Joe, what do we do in June?
I don't remember.
Pride.
Pride.
And we also do.
I wanted you to say that.
Yeah, we also do South Coast Pride. So there's a lot of things that we do. And we also do, which you've been to, the Winter Film Series.
That's true.
Right? So the Winter Film Series is coming up again. Each Sunday in the winter, we do an LGBTQ themed movie. And this year, I think we're at the museum, the Willing Museum, I think this year. We're actually moving the venue.
Up to there?
Yeah, bigger theater, because the last day there was standing room only.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
fantastic.
believe
What
it
a
or not,
great,
yeah. So there's a lot that we do behind the
movement here.
scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need funds to be able to do this. We're our nonprofit. We have a 501c3. So anybody out there that's doing these commercials, ad space and whatnot, it's tax deductible. We'll give you our numbers and all that good stuff. But you can hit up leo@thebedfordguide.com. And we're going to do one more thing. BSU, our network, is doing a program with the Bridgewater State University. And they're doing a Today's Struggle, Tomorrow's Strengths, Let's Talk Pride. So it is join the students of Social Work 432 in empowering and promoting a safe environment for LGBTQ and allies by educating and raising awareness in the BSU community. Our ultimate goal is to prevent LGBTQ youth suicide. I know we were just talking about suicide on here. But Tuesday, November 27th from 4 to 9 at the 99 in Bridgewater. 50% of your guest check goes to the network, which is the South Coast LGBT Network. And then they have another event Saturday, December 1st between 4 and 8. It is at Chipotle in Rainham. And again, 33% of that goes to the network. So if you guys want to post an ad, talk to leo@thebedfordguide.com. If you guys got questions and concerns, you can hit me up, and you got my email on that. So I just want to make sure we give those shout outs while we're here today. So back to you guys.
I felt like I was on GBH.
What's that?
The NPR local station in
When
Boston.
they do their fundraising, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Well,
Oh, yeah, right.
It's tough. I mean, Pride Cafe, we went to, they went to Carnival this year, this summer, which is terrific in P-Town. They're going to be doing a little bit more things, but it takes funds, it takes money.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're very fortunate that we have some grant money from Lipsky Whitaker, but that funding is depleting, and that's why the network formed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because, I mean...
It wasn't endowed?
Well, it was two gay guys that had a crap load of money, and once money goes out, you ain't got it. So the money just depletes year after year after year. So Liz and Bev DiCarlo had said, well, why don't y'all, who's dipping in that fund, form that network? So we met 4 years ago, actually, it'll be almost 5 now. And it's just like 7 of us, different groups that double dipped, because we triple dipped in that fund whenever we can, the grant writing. We just got together, had a roundtable discussion. We had the Fairhaven Council on Aging, our youth group, NB Agley, Youth Education in Schools, the Women's Center. I mean, there was a few of us that got together and just kind of sat down and said, all right, let's get together and form this network. And it was that simple. I mean, it was people like, was that easy? I'm like, yeah, it was that easy. We took other people's bylaws and whatnot and just said, well, let's add that, subtract that, and got together and, wrote a grant. And next thing you know, I mean, Eileen Dugas was hired as our network coordinator this past year. We only have 1 paid position on our network, and Eileen brings us all together. We need that one person to kind of structure us, and, kind of put the information out there. So shout out to Eileen Dugas, and she's also one of our adult advisors for NBAGLE as well. So definitely shout out for that. I can't tell what time it is. I don't have my, what time, help me out.
7:40.
7:40, wow, we're doing pretty good.
Wow.
I know, see, it kind of goes quick. So, kind of go back to the rally and stuff, we talked about the suicide rate. It's a killer out
Can
there.
we just mention the telephone and the,
Yep.
you want to talk about the
No, you
telephone?
do the
rates?
telephone. You keep
You'll do
bringing
the
it up.
canteen?
Ring me.
I'll do the recidivism.
Okay.
All right.
So we found out that there is this national prison company called Securus
Okay.
that provides phone service for families, loved ones to call into the jail. The problem is that they are extremely exploitative in their funds. I was just talking to a mom. She's paying $50 every other week to call her son once a week. I mean, so it's like a price gouging.
I was just going to say, yeah.
And then we found out
So
the
they're pimping
sheriff.
up the calls.
Yeah, and then we found out that Sheriff Hodgson
Yep.
got a commission, quote unquote, from the phone company Securus
Yep.
to the tune of $810,000 over, I think, a 3-year period, something like that. And we've been searching his public budget records, and we can't find how that money's spent. He says he has all these programs, but we fear that their programs aren't there, and we don't know where this money is going. And then the canteen, so his canteen prices are outrageous. The Standard Times actually ran an article talking about how, you can buy a whole, bunch of packets of ramen for, what, $1.50 or something? And he's charging $1.10 for 1 packet. And then beyond that, so there's no hot water for these guys to heat up the ramen, so they put cold water in the envelope.
Yep.
And they do it if they have money. If their families can put money in the canteen, they are doing it because they're hungry, because they only eat twice a day. I remember years ago I was going door to door in the south end of the city, and I ran into this guy and he said, he's starving the men. I mean, he's starving everybody.
Well, I also heard that they use the packet to season their food. It's not just for the soup. The food is so bland.
Yeah.
that
Yes.
Season,
And he
they try and
admits it,
season
If
the
they get a chance to eat it, because sometimes they'll call the guys, the people in to eat, and at the last minute, so they only have a couple of minutes to eat, and they can't take the food back with them to the cell. So it's really diabolical. You give them, such poor quantity and quality of food, and then they have to resort, if they have the money, if their families have the money to put on the card, then they pay exorbitant prices. And where's all this money going for? So that's a big issue for us, is the money that's coming in, who's going to.
So I know, Joe, you want to add on to that, but so all the jails I read earlier about the statistics of the suicides, what are their prices? Is that known, or we just, what I mean?
We don't know.
Maybe that's something to kind of go, hey, well, how come, if they're at 66 cents, how are you guys at $1.10?
That's a very good project to work on,
There you go, I just gave you more work.
Write that down. I don't have a pen.
But I do know
Right on
that
the back of your
gentleman
note,
that
Joe.
committed suicide that was on the watch,
Yep.
he begged the judge was in Attleboro, he begged the judge not to send him to Bristol.
Yep.
And we talked to...
Pick a jail, any jail, not that one.
Yeah, and we talked to a number of people who said that it's the worst jail. I mean, it's not that people expect to have, T-bone steaks or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just some halfway decent food and not being gouged every which way that they turn. And so one of the guys that committed suicide, and I want to recommend on YouTube, there is a documentary that was done by this group called Fault Lines, and you can just put in American Sheriff, and there's 2 sheriffs featured, our sheriff and this sheriff in Louisiana. And we had a bunch of guys, as it turns out, who had been in Bristol County, who were too afraid to show their faces because all of them were in recovery. If they fell backwards, they'd end up back in there, so they were afraid. And it's just mind-blowing, that documentary. If your listeners, your viewers have a chance to just go on YouTube, American Sheriff, boom.
So we talk offline, guys. We do a little bit of research ahead of time and invite the guests to come a little early in our green room. He's got all these great programs, everything's running, yet he's got a 48% rate of return.
Yeah.
So people, if it's so great and so wonderful that they're rehabilitating these folks, then why are 48% coming back?
And he claims that, if there's any abuses or tough love type thing, it's because if he has a country club, they'll want to come back.
Yeah.
So all of these hardships, makes them not want to come back. But it's not working if he's got a 48% recidivism rate.
Yeah.
Okay, and,
I love that word from you, Jeff.
Yeah,
it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
I asked him what it meant.
A return rate.
When we were offline, I was like, I don't know what that means, Joe.
Return rate. And he claims that his job is to run to jail. That's his job, to run the jail and get the people to and from court. And treat them like human beings in the meantime. Yeah, give them the minimum. Yeah. And when he gets up and he says, well, my job is to protect the community. Well, we have the local police who do that, right? And
if they're in your jail, then they should be there. And
run the jail. And if you have people who come in, they're going to have a bad attitude that they're in there. It might have been a bad attitude that got them in there. And if you're going to make the community safe, you have conditions where, at the end of which, when they leave, their attitude is better, okay? They're not going to continue to have a bad attitude towards local law enforcement or the local community or the system, right? But obviously, if they keep coming back, they're not leaving with those good attitudes. So while he's claiming he's trying to protect us as a community, he's not doing a good job of it. So maybe instead of trying to be Joe Arpaio from Maricopa, Arizona, he should be the Bristol County Sheriff and take care of his job, which is by law and Constitution, running the jails and getting the guys back and forth from the jail to the court.
And if you notice, Hampton County, they had a high suicide rate, but what we found out from the Boston Globe's research team was that they immediately put into place programs that would try to decrease that rate. So for example, there's some tool that the guards can use if somebody's hanging, they can cut them down right away so that they have a program at Hampton where new people that come in, they try to keep them separate from the population that's already in, try to treat them, acclimate them. And also mental health counselors giving each person privacy so they're not discussing their stuff in front of everybody. And they were able to bring it down. But he says things like, oh, we don't know why people commit suicide and that we have the worst prisoners in the state.
Yeah. He'll say that, well, ridiculous. One of the major problems in the jail is we have more people with opioid dependency than anywhere else in the state. So why don't we have a good program for them? If you're going to say that's the reason for the problem, address it.
And what did he do? He turned down a free program from the state for medically assisted treatment while they're in the jail. The only thing he does is give people a shot of Vivitrol when they leave, so there's no cravings for drugs.
Well, we talked about offline that someone could be there, 3 to 8 months, but the average is 2.5 years.
That's if they're sentenced.
If they're sentenced. So, I mean, Kevin is our production assistant. He's over here to my right, your stage left, I guess, out there, TV land. And we were playing devil's advocate. Well, why should I pay? Why should my hard-earned dollars go to people that put themselves there? And we hit that a little bit earlier, that they're not even, folks aren't convicted. They're just there because of, economically, whatever the reasons happen to be. But let's just say that you're convicted. I mean, how many programs should there be? Can there be? Should somebody get a GED? And again, I had, a brother-in-law of mine that almost went for OUI and things like that. I mean, things happen. Great guy, who, blah, blah, blah. And let's just say something did happen, and anybody in our families or our lives, and they get 3 to 5 years. I would, what rehabilitation, what steps, where our tax money is going, I want to make sure I get the most for my money. And like you said, he's not responding back, or you need the freedom of something, you call it
Freedom of Information.
Freedom of Information Act.
Yeah.
Where is it going? I don't think we ask enough questions. I mean, I work on LGBTQ. You know what I mean? That's my passion right now. But we did. It was on my show last week, Daz.
Dax Crocker.
Yeah, we're talking about immigration. So maybe January we'll bring immigration back, because I'm like, well, I mean, I have my views. We all have certain views. I want to help the kids in New Bedford before I help the kids in Puerto Rico, which seems maybe cruel to me or other people. But I mean, they're my neighbors next door. I want to help somebody else's neighbors, but right now I got to help, my group. So go ahead, Joe.
And I was just going to say, with that, a comparison with why should we pay for these people if they've got themselves in there. It's kind of a loose comparison, but I don't have any kids.
Yep.
And I know a lot of people that don't have any kids, or they have them, but they're now adults.
Yep.
Why are they paying for public school?
Yep.
Well, you want a better society, so you want an educated society. So even though I don't have kids in school, I would like to make sure the society I leave behind is better than perhaps the one I entered into. So even though you might not have anybody in jail, okay, you want those people to come out and add to the society and make it better, not come out of jail and either lower the quality of society or keep it where it is. You want everything to get better. So, yeah, they might be in there for whatever reason, but you want them to come out and contribute, not come out with a chip on their shoulder.
Well, I mean, we talk about transitional employment for, I job coach people with disabilities, and I kind of look at that's what we're doing, it's transitional employment, get them to the next step, get these folks to the next step, and higher paying jobs. So I think it's the same thing in the jail system. Where are you at right now, and how can we make it better so when you get out, we stop the cycle.
Yeah.
So I kind of see both ends, but I'm like, and I keep saying, Kevin and I, if we're honest when we have our conversations, how much can, we give to people for the habitual over and over and over again?
Well, if we did this, sentence people to treatment rather than to jail, if that's their main thing that they're in there for, and mostly property crimes, well, that would be a much better, and it's hard to recover from addiction, but that would be a much better use of our tax dollars. And then he's busting around all over the country, and his spokesperson saw the taxpayers die. Every time you see him in D.C. with Trump, we're paying for it. He stays at fancy hotels.
The anti-immigration group and
the white supremacists.
I know, I'm just joking on that one. So we talk about, so we send certain folks to jail, and we send certain folks to rehab. So at what point, does the rehab get overflowed? Is it going to get filled up?
We shouldn't have to make those kind of judgments, because this is a wealthy country, and like you were saying, you're working hard for your community. We shouldn't have to be, so poor in our resources. We have a big mess in terms of how we're spending our money.
And if he says that the biggest problem is because we have so many people on opioid addictions, then that should be a concentration in the jail.
And he said he didn't want that free program.
Nope, he turned it down. 5 other sheriffs took it, he turned it down. And even the Standard Times quoted a physician, I believe, who said this is the most effective way you can help people recover from opioids. And he turned it down.
And it's proven. It's not like let's try this and see if it works. It's like, try this here because it's worked in every other place.
So the 5 other jails that are doing this, are there any statistics of the suicide going down? Or
I think it's recent.
So recent still works.
It's a pilot program.
Plus, the suicides weren't as high as ours, too.
And we talked offline, Joe, that there could be more statistics of suicide, deaths, that we're not sure if there could be suicides or not, right?
Well, people, that we've talked to have seen people die because they're withdrawing from alcohol. And they go into convulsions and they die, and we have no idea how many those folks are. They'll give you, if you're going through withdrawal from opiates, they give you a, a Librium, something that doesn't have anything to do with opioid addiction. It's just, the flag is out there, we do not care about you. That's
and if somebody goes
clear.
in with suicidal tendency, as one case did, you don't put them in solitary confinement and leave them there to their own thoughts. they're in there because they're having bad thoughts.
And leave them in there with a sheet.
With a sheet, and the camera goes off for a couple of days, and no one notices that they can't see them on the screen.
And the thing that bugs us as our committee is that when this happens, where's state investigators?
Yeah.
Why isn't anybody looking into this? We just, it's like,
And we hear from the parents, or, you know, it's in the news media
well,
after the
you
fact,
know,
and
like
after
we
the
say,
fact.
4 wrongful death
Yeah,
lawsuits going on.
exactly.
Well, they do the thing where they schedule the inspection, and I never did this myself as a teacher, but I was aware of people who, when they knew there was going to be an inspection of their classroom,
Yeah.
it was the beautiful
Yeah.
place you ever saw, and their lesson was the best ever, okay? And there's only like one in my whole career, but anyway, it happened. But then the next day they went back to their old ways, and they'd get like, oh, this is great, you know, you're above average. Yeah, for that one day, because I knew you were coming, right? And that's what they do. We're going to come in and inspect you, so they clean it up, make it look nice. They come in, everything looks good. If you want to go in and just walk around and look, you can't do that. You have to prove who you are. You have to tell them why you're there. You got to make an appointment.
Well, maybe we need an undercover inmate.
Yeah, well,
Well,
we have,
we could get you arrested and get
Yeah,
you
wake
in
up your
there.
dreams over. Then who would be here? I'm fat and happy. Someone's got to be here, Joe. Come on.
the sort of arbitrariness of the way he runs things. So if you lose your ID,
Yep.
and I think it costs like a huge amount of money, and they don't have any money to get another one. And if you don't have the money, they put you in solitary. I mean, it's like the Middle Ages. It really is. And somebody's got to call the question on this guy. And, you know, I mean, the problem, and a lot of people that I know from around the state said, you know, why doesn't somebody run against this guy? Well, it's the county. 650,000 people in the county.
Yep.
And then, you know, you have to be able to, I mean, he's had 20 years of garnering support in the county. I mean, so he gives money. I happened to run into this woman while I was on a trip, and she was saying, oh, you know, we have this program that calls seniors every day to make sure, this is in Somerset, every day to make sure they're okay. Guess who funds that program?
Yeah.
Sheriff Hodgson. So he's got those kind of programs all over the county. People don't really know what's going on, you know, in terms of the stuff that we're saying. And so to try to run against the guy, you need, you know, probably $1 million. And you need the time to go around and tell people all this stuff.
And the thing is, with the nice woman,
The investigation
with the seniors, are they doing okay? There are already organizations who do that, so he should be doing his money and time on his jail.
Yep.
It's like when he bought the boat, or got the boat.
Yeah, his Homeland
and
Security.
Fixed it up because he was going to patrol the harbor. We have the Coast Guard, we have the Harbor Patrol.
Yeah.
Can't put the boat in the water, remember?
Yeah, he gave it to Swansea. And then he gets the command center, the mobile command center. Well, the police already had one, so did the fire department. That wasn't his job. Take care of the jail, bring him to and from the court. And then he gets into the ice. I don't know if we're running out of time.
What time is it, Joe?
I don't know.
It's 7:57.
Oh, wow, wrap
like
up.
an airplane.
Wrap up.
So go ahead, finish your last thought, and then I'll end up the show.
He wants to be Mr. Ice Guy.
Yeah.
And he went to Washington and said any elected official who wants to have a sanctuary or a safe city should be under arrest. Well, New Bedford's been a sanctuary city since 1843, right?
For runaway slaves.
Runaway slaves, and for anybody, right? And we're not officially that, but we have always been that. Yeah. And he wants to come in and cause problems with raids and everything else, and then the community hates the local police who aren't doing this, because I don't know, whenever they show pictures of ICE, they always have police and then ICE underneath. Well, they're not police and ICE, they're ICE. So you see police, you think it's your local police, and then the local police tries to interact with the community, and they've got a bad rap, and there's an adversarial relationship that isn't even theirs. And he gets $98 a day for each supposed illegal immigrant, or undocumented immigrant, I should say, that are in his jail. He gets the highest in the state for that, right? $98 a day. So the more he gets, the more he gets.
Yep.
So of course he wants his jail.
And is he shorting the food and the medical in order to
Yeah,
do
you
what
need
with
to
this
get that extra
money.
cash, why don't you just put it somewhere?
And, you know, Ash Street should be condemned, and, you know, and.
Ash Street, yeah.
Yeah, and although people say they like it better there because at least you have your private cells, which they don't have enough of in the other place. They have this, everybody in this big gym. But if he wasn't packing all these ICE detainees in, he would be able to close that jail and have more room for the people. And again, who's supervising him? Who's he accountable to? Certainly not us,
And
not the
Ash Street
voters.
was old when Lizzie Borden was in it.
Yeah, I remember, yes.
Yeah.
40 wax, guys. So maybe after we have our show going, and we have it broadcast, our events coming up until after January, maybe we can have you guys revisit in 2 months or so, let us know where social justice is getting, what's going on with, you know, the sheriff and whatnot.
And we can answer all those questions
Yeah,
that throw at us,
yeah, we'll have a
Yeah,
couple
good
of
questions,
you know.
very good questions.
So guys, I just want to end with tonight, Transgender Day of Remembrance is actually November 20th. So I know Eileen's going to be here next week, and there's an event at Providence City Hall, Tuesday, November 20th from 5:30, at 5:30, and they're actually doing a flag raising ceremony. So they're honoring the lives of transgender people killed in anti-trans violence in the United States. Also on November 18th at 1 p.m., Lexington Battle Green in Lexington, Mass. They're also honoring the lives of transgender people killed in anti-trans violence in the United States. And St. Peter's Episcopal Church, 351 Elm Street in Dartmouth, from 10:30 to 11:30. I actually am the guest speaker for that.
Nice.
So just kind of talking about what's going on. I know I'm not trans, folks, but they've asked me to kind of be the speaker for that. I've been doing a lot on Yes on 3 and the stuff that we do with our youth group and the whatnots that we've been doing. So yeah, 11/20 is Transgender Day of Remembrance. Eileen will be here next week. And yeah, take care, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye now.